whole business is as haywire as anything can be, but it's a direct affront against God. It's like, well, we don't even have to look at that. Just the fact what's happening in the churches as they are allowing now people to shack up together and live without the benefit of marriage. They are Bible schools are allowing this to some degree, and churches have homosexual pastors, and you name it. And I don't have to go into all that ugly detail. We all know it. We are hit by it every single day, it seems like. And so, what is God putting up with? What is God? If I were God, it would be long ago. I would have said, I'm going to wipe them out. There's a remnant here that I have made payment for. They're going to be the people on this planet, but I'm going to just keep them. And these ugly people, when they get that bad and consistently that bad and that arrogant, they have no business. I'm so furious at them. What does God do? Go back to Psalm 73. Psalm 73. And there we read in verse 3, Psalm 73, I was envious of the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. Here is a true believer, and he's looking at these dirty, ugly people, and he's envious of them because he sees blessing after blessing upon them. I saw the prosperity of the wicked. There were no bands in their debt, but their strength is firm. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain. Violence covered them as a garment. In other words, everything is going so well. I must be right. I must. You can't tell me I'm wrong in my thinking when I'm an atheist or when I'm any of the other ugly things that are going on, because look how healthy things are going. Look how wonderful things are going for me. And this physically, literally, is very true. This is not just conversation. This is the way it is. So, if there is a God, he certainly must approve what I'm doing and what I'm saying, because look how well everything is going. Therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain, violence covereth them as a garment, their eyes stand out with fatness, they have more than heart could wish, but they are corrupt, they speak wickedly. Concerning oppression, they speak loftily, they set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walketh through the earth. You know, why is this? Why is this? Because God is a merciful God. He is slow to anger. He allows sin to grow, and instead of in anger wiping them out when they first start going in this ugly direction, this open affront. Sometimes we as believers were shocked at the way people are talking about God and demonstrating against God, like God doesn't exist or that he has done it all wrong, we're going to do it all right. And we wonder, how can God put up with this? How can he put up with this? And that's exactly Jonah's problem. Let's go back to Jonah. That was his problem. He knew that God was like this. He knew that God forgave ugly mankind and did not immediately, that is, he forgave them in the sense of not stamping them out immediately because they were so arrogant in the way they were coming at God. and they were so accepted by the peoples of the world, and it looked like they just had everything, and so Jonah is saying, I knew, this is verse 2 again of Jonah 4, I knew that thou art a gracious God and merciful, slow to anger and of great kindness, and repentest thee of the evil. And I knew you'd do this for Nineveh. And you got to remember, Lord, they were the enemy of Israel. They were an enemy country. It's Assyria. And now you've done exactly what I thought you would do. And now as a person, he is displeased. But as a picture of God, he is registering exactly what had to happen. That God is a merciful God. He is slow to anger. But there comes the time when God's anger will be manifested. And that is particularly focused on the day of judgment. You know, it's not accidental that the day of judgment is coming when there are 7 billion people on the earth. I think I read somewhere back as early as 1924 or 27. I was already born. I was already part of the human race. And at that time, the world only had 2 billion people. And that was a big increase from what it was in 50 years earlier than that, and earlier than that. In other words, it's in our day that the world has exploded, and we have this many people, and they're all, except the true believers, are guaranteed to experience the anger of God. Judgment Day will be the ultimate expression of the anger of God. God is saying, I am slow to anger, I am merciful, I am gracious, and all through the history of the world I've provided salvation for people. I meet all those requirements, but there comes the time when the law of God requires that judgment be completed. Judgment will be completed. And those who have lived and died unsaved, even though they didn't experience physically the judgment of God, that is, so that they suffered. They went to bed at night and didn't wake up. They're dead. They'll never have conscious existence. And insofar as most people of the world, or maybe they were a soldier and a bullet got them in the heart, they're dead. They didn't experience any suffering. They just died and never again had conscious existence. And the wages of sin is death. And so even in that, God is merciful. When God established in Deuteronomy 25, verse 3, a limit on how much punishment can be put upon a human being, that was because of his mercy, of his kindness, because he is slow to anger. God has constructed a very, very carefully designed judgment program, a very carefully designed plan for the human race, so that nothing is going to go bizarre or go crazy or just go out of control. It's all very, very controlled. But in this day, when we have modern communications and we can get the message out to the whole world and point directly at God and tell it with great accuracy, prove it from the Bible, like the proofs of the timing, the 7,000 years and the 722,500 years from April 1, 33 A.D. to May 21, 2011, and just fantastic proofs that just cannot be contradicted at all. It absolutely guarantees, without any question, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And now when people, in the face of this kind of information, remember, until this day, God had given the Bible for the last 2,000 years, but there were no pastors that could really understand very much of the Bible. Most of the salvation plan was all haywire. It was a do-it-yourself salvation plan. It was